You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we are talking about the American television special, but it's also just on a streaming network and not really TV, but TV has a whole different meaning now, and that's a random tangent that I took in the middle of that. Werewolf by Night, directed by Michael Giacchino, released on Disney Plus October 7th, 2022. And yeah, which is funny because for us, this is super timely because we're recording this right before Halloween, but it's December and you're hearing this, so it's a little behind, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, you know how our recording time works. Things are just done at different times, and it's how we make it work in our Run for Your Lives podcast universe.
Yeah, we had, October was so busy with it, and Halloween ends to where, I really wanted to do this in like a Halloween mode. And for us, it still is, so it counts for me. But for you guys, It's a little late, but that's fine because I'm still in Halloween spirit. So
yeah, and I feel like, Pake, after Halloween ends, we really needed a movie to bring us back to life.
Yes,
for sure. And this, I think, is the one to do it. It's the first time on Run for Your Lives that we are covering a Marvel movie or a movie, a special within the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, it's the first time Run for Your Lives has gone into the MCU. Oof. And I don't know how many other opportunities we really will get to do that. Hopefully with the start of this special Marvel special presentation, as they call it. Hopefully that means we might get into more. I mean, hopefully we know the Blade movie is coming in a couple of years. And now the MCU is officially dabbling with the supernatural realm and demons and vampires and werewolves and all these things. Maybe we have some more Marvel things that we can cover in the future with the next phase.
I hope so. Because I love Marvel. I mean, some people are Marvel, some people are DC. I'm definitely Marvel. I enjoy a few DC things, but I'm Marvel, all the way. I came to the Marvel bandwagon very late, but I've really enjoyed the last, 7 or 8 years that I've been watching all things Marvel. So I'm excited that we get this opportunity to talk about this film because it was fun. It was very so fun. I have lots of thoughts on it. This may not be one of our longest episodes, but I think it's going to be a fun discussion. And I did find some really cool things to put in the behind the scenes.
Nice.
So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great discussion. I feel like we should probably just jump into it, and I will share some production notes before we get into the discussion.
All right.
So it was filmed in Atlanta, Georgia, and in Arizona. This TV special was the directorial debut of someone who's very well known to the Run for Your Lives universe.
Yes.
Michael Giacchino, who is an Academy Award-winning composer. He did Jurassic World. I mean, he's well known, but this was his first big chance to direct.
It's his third time as a director, but his other two were literally a short film, and then I think a TV special or an episode of a TV show or something. So this was, and it's still under an hour, so it's not a long movie. It's more of a TV movie, but it is still officially, I mean, it's a big project for him to undertake as a director, and that's really cool. And it kind of catches you off guard when you see directed by Michael Giacchino, and you're like, I think they gave him the wrong credit. He should be under the music by, right?
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. Well, he did score this special as well.
Yes.
I keep trying to figure out, is it a special? Is it a movie? I'm going to call it a movie because, you know what? To me, it is.
Right.
So, he did score it, so I thought that was very cool. He does wonderful things with music.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed that about this film as well. Werewolf by Night, of course, as we've kind of alluded to, was based on the Marvel Comics featuring the Werewolf by Night character, which I've never read any of those. I don't know if you have.
I have not.
All right. Well, then we're on the same page with that.
But I did a little light digging on it. Well, I'll talk about it in here.
Okay. Did you use a spoon or one of those beach shovels for your digging? Not a big, real shovel to dig
Spoon would have
deep?
been so much better. I was using a butter knife. God.
Oh, man.
Didn't even think about a spoon. Man, that would have been a much better plan.
It might have been. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the working title for this was Buzz Cut, which I thought was interesting. I'm not sure how that ties in, but they were trying to keep it a secret.
Right.
This is the first Marvel Studios special presentation in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Cinematic, not cinematic.
It is magical, Ben.
Cinemagic was a chain of theaters in Maine until the pandemic. So, yeah. So it is the first special presentation in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it shares continuity with the films and the television series in the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's 53 minutes. There is no information on box office because it was not released in the box office. Also couldn't get any budget information. So that brings us to Pake's favorite part of the podcast when he gets to share his synopsis.
Yeah. All right. Well, this special introduces us to a lycanthrope superhero who fights evil using the abilities given to him by a curse throughout his bloodline. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
I didn't talk about what was in the special as much as just like it's the introduction of a new Marvel character. And that's really,
So excited. So excited.
Or a few new Marvel characters that hopefully we'll continue on with.
Yeah, I think I have found a new one to add in this new season, which we're still very early in season 5. That could be a contender in my best of. So we'll see if it holds up.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's officially get into it, as we always do. Characters, breaking down things that way. And there's really nowhere else to start but the Werewolf by Night, right?
Oh.
Mr. Jack Russell, who is not a terrier. He is
a
different kind of canine human person.
Yes. You know what? Before we even dive into that, can I just say that I loved the whole look of the opening to this. I loved the audio for the narration because it had like this I'm on a
Vincent
record.
Price kind of. Yeah.
Vintage, retro. It's super like old school. The sound quality sounded like it was being played on a record. It was great. And I also got this Clue vibe, like everyone's coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe intro with the music changed. It's got this classic horror style music.
It does.
Scratch marks, lightning flashes, screams. The film quality like changes to look real grainy, and I mean they definitely wanted this to look like a classic monster movie horror film, and it's so good the way they did it.
I loved it. It just took me back to the old movies. We're talking about Wolfman, The Invisible Man, all of those. So, yeah, I felt this instant connection to films of the past. Ones that are appreciated, but maybe aren't getting as much attention now.
Yeah. And I like the introduction to Jack because you mentioned the narration. And the first time we see him is when the narrator delivers the line, and woe to the monster who finds himself among them. And it's said as Jack is revealed right off the bat. It's kind of foreshadowing his monstrous secret.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because he is painted as like this supreme monster hunter with like 100 kills, and so you're expecting something else, and it unfolds in a way that takes you in a different direction, and I loved that.
Yes, the character is great. I love having Jack in the MCU. Gael Garcia Bernal, love him. Forever be Hector from Coco to me. Remember me. Guy's got a great voice. But yeah, like I legit have like the soundtrack, a lot of songs on the soundtrack of Coco in my personal playlist that's him singing. And yeah, so I got excited seeing him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Werewolf by Night. It's like,
I know.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to cast him, but I love it.
I know. I feel like the people that are behind the casting for Marvel always do a good job. They pick the right people most of the time, if not all of the time. Mm-hmm. So I was definitely pretty happy with the casting as well.
So, as I mentioned a little bit, comic stuff. I didn't go too deep. I said maybe if I had a better spoon or shovel, I would have gone deeper, but I went as deep as my knife would let me. But no, just small things. But yes, in the Marvel Comics, Werewolf by Night was first introduced in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And Jack Russell here has been part of several teams in the Marvel universe in the comics. He was part of the Legion of Monsters, along with Ghost Rider, Man-Thing, Morbius, and others. There's a version of Midnight Suns also with Morbius that's part of like a Marvel Zombies story where him and some other like monster characters are brought in to try to stop a zombie outbreak. And then he was part of the Night Shift, which was kind of like a Suicide Squad kind of thing. Like they think they're like a criminal output, but they're really vigilantes helping heroes, put together by the character of Shroud, and they ended up working with heroes like the likes of Captain America and Spider-Man even in those. Ooh. So yeah. So he's been around a lot in different comic adaptations, a lot of horror stories and monster spin-offs and things. And actually probably the biggest Werewolf by Night claim to fame now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe before him showing up is, of course, Moon Knight actually debuted as a mercenary that Werewolf had to fight in issue 32 of Werewolf by Night back in 1975. Ooh, so it was a Werewolf by Night comic that debuted Moon Knight, and then Moon Knight ended up becoming what he is after kind of being a villain to Werewolf. So
I think you uncovered quite a few things with your little knife. Yeah, that's good. That kind of sets the stage for who he is a bit. He's been brought into this, I call it a death dealers convention, because that kind of is what it felt like to me. They've all been brought here. It just gives me, like I said, the Clue vibe, but also like the House on Haunted Hill, I think was the name of it. Another one where they brought people in because somebody had died, and it's time to pass the bloodstone to someone else to lead.
It's better than passing a kidney stone.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I've never done it, but I don't want to. The thought of it. No.
Passing the bloodstone is a lot more looked highly upon, I guess. But yeah, just that the keeper of the bloodstone has passed away, and so the ritual, I guess typically it would just stay in the family because it was Ulysses' bloodstone. Mm-hmm. But his daughter Elsa, who does show up to try to claim it, but she's not just given it as a birthright like maybe she expected to, because there was a kind of falling out with her and her father and her stepmother, Verussa.
Oh, Verussa. I've got some comments on her.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's that family dynamic is a little strained, right?
Yeah.
A little bit estranged. So she has to, but we're not talking about Elsa right now, but
right.
But yeah, but she's also a part of this competition. But we see Jack, who's here, this competition. Whoever slays the monster becomes the new rightful owner of the Bloodstone and kind of the leader of the legacy of the monster hunters. And so we wonder, what is he doing here? And as we come to find out, he's really just there because the monster that they're using for this ritual is his good buddy Ted, and he's just there to try to save him.
Oh,
break him out. Yeah.
I liked Ted. Ted was cool. He seemed nice, and he came at the right time and took care of business. Mm-hmm. I appreciated all of his efforts.
Yes.
He's a good friend, because even though Jack was there to help him, he ended up helping Jack, too. So, I was happy. I liked their little bromance. We didn't get tons of it, but what I saw, I really enjoyed.
Yes, they're very good friends. I like that.
Yeah.
They seem like they have a fun dynamic, and I hope that we continue to see them in the MCU. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I hope so. I hope they show up. Maybe when we least expect it. We'll see them, and then I'll scream in the theater because I'll be so excited.
They're going to pop up in Black Panther, because we haven't seen that yet. But by the time people are listening to this, it's already been out. So
yeah. Black Panther is coming out in what, 2 weeks? About 2 weeks.
Yeah, for us. Now, in the past, as you're listening.
In the past, it will be like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, like the ritual itself is cool. You know, hunters are entering the hunting grounds, which is really like this walled garden, one at a time, staggered entry by lot that they pull. Jack goes first, and I really liked the flaming tuba. I don't know why. It's just a nice touch. It was very, I spent so many years in like haunted house stuff and like working like front of gate and like out in the lots and like, messing with the customers and people even before they come in. And a flaming tuba is just very haunted house theme park vibe, like the grounds. I was just like, it made me think of like those big theme parks that I would go to and like be like outside and like this big field and like getting set up for everything. They would definitely have a flaming tuba out there with some creepy guy playing it,
You're really not putting your best foot forward if you're not at least putting some flaming instrument out there.
Right. Jack's... Oh, go ahead.
I have to say that when they gave the overview, or they did the like reveal of what the outside area looked like, it made me think of one of the courses that we've been playing on Fall Guys. Like, oh, yes, this looks kind of familiar-ish, I guess. Yeah, so I caught that right away. But yeah, Jack is walking in with the flaming tuba man.
Mm-hmm. And as he's in, he's looking for Ted for a while, but his first other encounter, another hunter, but it is Elsa Bloodstone. I suggest we just pass each other by. But then big old Joven shows up, and Jack just kind of gets out of there. Elsa takes his weapon, and then they kind of get away separately. And then he's off running again. And then, the next encounter he has is, oh my god, the monster's hand reaches through the shrubs and grabs Jack. Hey, what's that?
Hey.
Yes, it is Ted. He has entered just to save his friend Ted, get him out of there, get him free, blow the wall, and get him out. Love Ted. I will have more things to say about Ted.
I love Ted. I didn't have captions on, so I don't know really what he was saying to Jack.
It is just, even with the captions on, it's just like, Ted snarls. Ted makes noises. It doesn't like translate.
Okay. All right. Well, because Jack really understood everything he was saying. Mm-hmm. Like, that came across really good.
Yeah. So he's got that plan, but then his conversation with Ted is stopped, as then he's got to run away from Azrael, and while doing so, accidentally locks Elsa and himself up inside the mausoleum.
Yeah, I think she was pretty much already locked in there, and when he went in, she tried to get his attention, didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, because she was in there kind of like hiding out and taking care of herself, but the door was open, and like as he's coming in, she's like, don't shut that door.
Yeah.
Great.
We're in here with the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jack says that he and Elsa can help each other. If she helps Ted get out alive, that she can have the stone. It will just make that easy deal. And of course, she's wanting the stone because she needs to get it away from her stepmother and start her own legacy, away from her father, away from everything. She wants to earn it herself and start anew, fresh, outside of the confines of her family. But I like her like answer. He's like, he sets that kind of deal up. She goes, right, yeah, because you'll just have a quick chat with him, sort it out, because you're what, the monster's friend. And the way he just kind of doesn't even respond. He just looks at her like, yeah, you nailed it. Yeah. Good job. Figured it out.
Yeah, we're friends. Yeah. I don't know that she really believed it until she met Ted herself.
Right.
And then it was a different story, but we'll get on to that once we get through Jack's story.
Yeah. Love him accidentally triggering the bomb and like, can you show me how to work this? Because I just can't do.
And then he's trying to throw it at the wall.
He books it to the wall and he's throwing it and it's bouncing off. And honestly, it's really funny. I did enjoy it. Wouldn't be Marvel without like your really good like humor break. And exactly. I think the best point is him just trying to get this bomb to stick to the wall. And it's like, no, not gonna happen.
By the third time, I was just like, just put it up in that little. There's a little crack in there. Just stick it in there. I'm pretty sure it will still work the same. It's like, just do that.
Yeah. So that does work when he does do that. And the wall blows. Elsa snags the stone off of Ted with the rope grabby thing that she found in the casket there. And Ted runs away free. Free to the wind, Ted. Go, run.
Run. Run far away, Ted.
And then Jack goes to pick up the bloodstone to give it to Elsa, and it hurts him pretty badly. And yeah, it's been established that the bloodstone is a weapon against monsters. And so when this happens, he has revealed himself to be a monster.
Yes.
So Ted escaped, but you know what? Jack's a fine replacement.
Yep.
House rules now.
Yeah. They put him and Elsa in a cage together, and he realizes, Elsa explains to him, you might think you've got 5 days till you're, till the full moon, but that bloodstone's going to make you transform in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And
he didn't think about that.
No.
Clearly.
But his idea of how to not hurt her, because he doesn't want to hurt her, is to smell her, like he's sniffing her and he's trying to be familiar. He's like, you have to be familiar. I have to remember you in order to not hurt you.
Mm-hmm. She's real weirded out by it at first, but then once she figures out what's going on, she's like, oh, please let this work. And she's like, does it work? He's like, once. Yeah. I do like some of, those little moments when they're talking there where he's just like, we look in my eyes, we get to know each other. But he's like, I am me. That part of me is separate and that hunting. But it's like, but right now, you don't need to be scared of me. And I like that. He goes, I'm also a human. Perhaps not in the category that you would call a human. And as he's saying that, he's scratching behind his ear like a dog would. Again, just another little hint. I like that. But yeah, so I guess their plan was you have Werewolf Jack kill Elsa, and then he becomes the new monster that they hunt once she's out of the way. But it didn't go that way at all.
No. Which his transition into the werewolf was so perfect.
So cool.
We didn't get to see the whole transformation. We saw basically his hand transition, and then what we see is the shadow on the wall of him becoming werewolf by night.
Yeah. With Elsa's fear and reactions to what she's seeing. It was very classic monster movie
I loved
stuff,
it.
Right?
I loved it because it was so effective.
Show us by not showing us.
Yes. You don't have to throw it all in our face.
Right.
It can add to the story and add to the suspense to actually see just the outline of what's happening.
Right. Yeah, and even before that, I do like that he's begging with the hunters and Verussa, just, if this is what your plan is, then kill me as a human now. Don't go through with hunting me down as a monster. He goes, otherwise there will be no mercy, I promise. And I was like, hey, he gave them the warning and the opportunity. Like,
bring it on, Jack. Take them out. I'm ready for you to take them out.
Yeah, and I liked once that transformation. I really liked the werewolf, suit, makeup, everything. A lot of practical stuff in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Marvel. There's still plenty of CGI in the action sequences, but it's a good balance. But when you get like the close-ups and like really just see him standing there, as far as I know, I think all that was all practical and
I have some notes on that. I went and looked that up specifically. I loved the lighting, the way that they lit him. We didn't get like a spotlight on his face once he was revealed. It was kind of like this moving light that if he moved within the light, you would see more of his face, but it wasn't on it the entire time. So you just get this illusion. It's almost like an illusion at times, the way that they show it. And I loved it. It makes me honestly want to go watch The Invisible Man again, and I haven't seen it in years, but it's probably my favorite movie from that era, that early era. It's just fun. It's so much fun and so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they turned him into the werewolf on their own. They chose to. They were prodding him and shocking him. So they get to deal with the consequences, especially when he's free and out of the cage. And at that moment, they realized they fucked up.
Fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up.
Yeah, it was
for sure
not good. And then he just goes full on werewolf by night, and it's amazing. Before his first attack, when he jumps on that guard from the ceiling, you can see him like perched up there on that fixture before he jumps, and like you see the figure sitting there, then the eyes glow, and then he leaps down, and it was really cool. And then he's just brutalizing guards. He straight up like rips into a guy, and there's like blood splatter all over the screen, which is fun, but it's like you legit see like huge chunks like ripped out of this guy. And I was like, that is not a usual visual for the MCU.
No.
This may be the goriest the MCU has ever been. So unless you count Punisher, which is now officially MCU canon, but that wasn't done by Marvel Studios.
Right.
So
well, and it's all still black and white. Like you're not getting any red. The only thing that ever glows red is the bloodstone. Like everything else is black and white. Yeah.
So you can have a lot of blood splattering and slinging all over the place because it's just black and white. So it doesn't look as visceral, but still you're like, man, there's a lot of blood here.
It looks like molasses.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. It doesn't look like anything menacing at all.
Yeah. But the gore, I mean, even with Elsa, we'll talk more about Elsa and some of her scenes. But I mean, while Jack is brutalizing guards, I mean, we have her taking on, the other hunters that were left. I mean, she slits Barrasso and Azrael's throats, and then like also chops Azrael in the head with the sword. So yeah, I mean, they weren't shying away from like some pretty brutal like death scenes and stuff for a Marvel
Definitely
series.
Not. Definitely not. Well, our friend Ted incinerates people, basically.
Yeah, that was crazy to see too.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Well, we'll talk more about that once we get to Ted, but
yeah, that's kind of after that, then it's over as quick as it begins, really. And then, he pounces on Elsa, but it did work, the recognition techniques and things, so he leaves her be and just runs away. And then Ted comes in to like save him and ends up saving Elsa, but then it's like, she's like, Jack left, you're good. Because then that leads to like the little sting at the end to be like, no, I come to save you. No, you. Which I like that little bit because we get the Somewhere Over the Rainbow playing as we go back to color. It's a fun nod to like Wizard of Oz.
It was. In other ways, this movie was like that. I mean, it had those fun moments that I can see myself honestly watching this at least once a year, right around Halloween, because
it's quick and easy, but perfect. So much fun.
Yeah, it's just so much fun. And I love that Ted came back to save him. I mean, it showed that their friendship is really solid. And then at the end, when they're together and Jack wakes up and he's transformed back to himself, he's making sure that Elsa was okay. Like he asked Ted, and Ted gives him a cup of coffee.
Yeah, he's there with coffee, ready to just sit there. And they even, what a night, crazy night. Huh?
Yeah.
And then they even decide, well, let's do sushi.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got a little camping, I don't know, it's kind of a thrown together camping place where they are. And at the end, I loved it because Ted kind of drags Jack's clothes away when he goes.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Kind of picks up the tattered clothes are left, like, he's going to want these.
Yep. We've done this before. This isn't the first suit. Time. No. Yeah, you could tell that they have that great relationship, and I loved that. I also just really enjoyed Jack's discussions that he had with Elsa when they were talking about different things, especially the part about families and how your life can be one way and you think you can change it by doing, he says, sometimes we think by doing something very specific, we can change everything and not be like them. Sometimes they're just a pain in the ass and we have to save all the time. I don't know. It's complicated. And that's a family. Families are complicated.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how it goes.
But yeah, that's all I've got on Jack. Because, I mean, it's a short, yeah, 50 under an hour. So
yeah. Well, think about it, too. What we've been covering, I mean, we just, in our timeline, we finished it. And the miniseries and the movies, those were much longer.
Yes.
So we're not going to have, like, a 2-hour discussion about this movie.
Right.
And it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. It's good to have something easier, but more fun. It's still, like, really fun to talk about.
It's lighter in a different way, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not all rainbows or anything. It's just, it's not as intense. It's just suspenseful and fun.
Yes.
So I feel like we can move on to Elsa.
Elsa Bloodstone. Yeah, and as I mentioned, Ulysses' daughter, who's on her own accord, come back, and she just wants her, like, birthright, but nope, she's got to join the competition to try to win on her own accord, to hold her family's legacy, to start her own legacy and get away from that, like I mentioned earlier. Verussa, her stepmother, hates her, is, like, completely disgusted by her arrival and everything about it, but rules are rules, so if she's there, she has a right to it, just like everybody else, to try. But she does have to compete. She's not just going to hand it over. That blood-red bloodstone in the black and white.
I know.
Cool.
It's perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, but not a whole lot to talk about her, other what I have while she's with Jack, except, again, with the brutality. I mean, her fight with Leorn, chops off his arm and is, like, again, slinging some blood around, and then kills him by shooting him in the throat with his own wrist bolt shooter thing.
Yeah.
Which is still attached to the arm that she chopped off.
Yeah, because she takes it off of it. Like, she takes it after she kills him. She is trying to take it off his arm, I thought. Yeah. Oh, well, even before that, too, she's stealing Joven's axe away from him, fighting with him. He was a big brute that bragged a lot. Yeah.
And he gets his axe right back pretty soon, because after she kills Leorn, she's kind of hiding out under his dying body in the plant bed. And he shows back up and takes his axe back.
Yeah, I feel like she literally stopped the breath from coming in and out of Leorn's lungs. Yeah. And facilitated or expedited his death because she kind of suffocated him.
Yeah. And then next time we see her is when she gets locked in to the mausoleum in the crypt there. She breaks into her aunt's casket to find bones, some cheap CGI spiders, and a key.
Yeah. Her Aunt Frances needed an exit strategy. And it's something I guess her father must have threatened her with before. Like, talking about her crazy Aunt Frances. If you don't behave, your crazy Aunt Frances is going to break out and come after you or something. But she's like, yeah, but my Aunt Frances would have an exit strategy.
Yep.
So she knew there'd be something in there with her, so she did. She found the key.
Yeah. And I guess Francis's favorite little weapon thing, whatever that was, it's like kind of this little grappler rope.
Yeah.
Came in very handy. It got her the stone off of Ted. And then also, while Verussa is doing a number on Jack with the bloodstone there at the end of that big fight, Elsa's able to come in and just grab her in the back and pull her back and kind of knocks her out. Not really knocks her out, but, it takes her out of the situation for a little bit.
That reminded me of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
Get over here!
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's like, oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, she picks up the stone. Yeah, and then after Jack leaves, Verussa pops back up to kill Elsa. To, you'll die as you lived, a disgrace to your father's name. And then that's when Ted pops back up and
Hi, Ted. Welcome back to the
fries
party.
Verussa extra crispy.
Couldn't have happened to a worse person.
Right?
Wonderful. I cheered. She was so awful to Elsa. So awful.
Yeah, and with that, Elsa is the keeper of the Bloodstone now. New leadership.
Yeah.
And that, butler guy who's been there with her the whole time is like, I'd like to make myself available to you. She goes, great, why don't you start by cleaning all this shit up?
And she goes to sit down. And he just looks at her like, you really want me to do all this? Like, I didn't know if he was physically capable to do it. Because it's a lot of crap everywhere. But she just sits down. And that's when we get Somewhere Over the Rainbow and the colors start appearing. And
with her all red, which I didn't really picture throughout, but then when the color comes in, you're like, oh, she's wearing all this red. I was like, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
She's taking a little break. She's relaxing, getting ready to just start her new legacy.
Changing the legacy for Bloodstones. I knew her jacket had to be red. I knew it had to be red. It was an awesome jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool. Badass. I just love her character.
Yeah, I feel like with the MCU going in this direction, I mean, with Blade and Black Knight and other things that are coming in the near future, yeah, I mean, we're going to see more of Elsa Bloodstone.
Good.
Sure.
I want to. I definitely want to.
And I think even Thunderbolts and stuff is coming up, and I think Werewolf is supposed to be part of that. So
good. I want more. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I love Marvel monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we need Marvel monsters. I think it diversifies it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
I know they're working on What If season 2, and then they're doing an entire Marvel Zombies series on its own.
They are.
So knowing that Werewolf by Night was part of a Marvel Zombies run, maybe we will get a Werewolf by Night Marvel Zombies episode or something. So.
Fingers crossed. I hope so.
Could be cool. Yeah.
Okay, the only other thing I had is that Jack and Elsa discuss that they're not, quote, that type of hunter. Which meant they weren't like the other brutes that were running around.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it was that difficult to, differentiate between them. Because they just didn't seem that way when we met them. The others were just very tough. They were just, they don't feel the need to wear it on their chests, I guess.
Yeah.
They don't need to. It's on the down low.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what other notes I have. The Verussa and the hunters, but really, no, just not even her. Verussa, we've talked really more her, but just, the other hunters, like you were just talking about, they're some interesting characters for sure. And then even Ulysses setting up his own body
God.
And turning his own dead body into an animatronic.
Animatronic Ulysses, yes.
I'll be rotting for you.
Yes. Oh my God. That's something the Crypt Keeper would say. Come on. Right? Tales from the Crypt or Creep Show. One of those would have that, okay?
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they hadn't used it before. I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah. And then the only other note about them, which is more actor thing, that just something cool that I found. Kirk Thatcher, who is the guy that played Joven, big old brute. He's a creature maker for a lot of different movies. He makes a lot of the like creatures and puppets, animatronics, and things that have been used in Star Wars and a bunch of other things. And then also he has directed multiple Muppets things, including he was the director and kind of mind behind the Webby Award-winning Muppets Bohemian Rhapsody. So
okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah. And then Ted. Couple notes about Ted, of course. The monster they're hunting is Man-Thing, aka Dr. Ted Sallis. How awesome is that? That Man-Thing has made his official MCU debut. We haven't called him that until now because we've been just referring to Ted. But yes,
as Ted. Yes,
that is Man-Thing, which is kind of like DC's Swamp Thing is MCU. Marvel's got Man-Thing, which is kind of a similar. He is a being that is kind of composed of different plant matter. So even if you like chop him up into bits, as long as there's a little bit of him left, he can regenerate, pull in different plant matter and things and come back. So he's pretty strong against, like blades and bullets and stuff. Like if you're shooting at him stuff, they're just going to go right through him or like get lodged in his vines. Like he's a very strong, he's been like on par with Captain America in strength in the comics. He's very powerful being and highly intelligent, but also can't communicate with others unless maybe Jack, like very few other people. And he kind of has this very lumbering oaf quality to him.
He does.
But he is a scientist. He was before his transformation. And so he is very intelligent. It's just like he has weird ways of showing it because of the form that he's in. He's
yeah.
And then, of course, his powers, besides the strength, of course, then his powers of burning and immolating people to death. And he is enraged and triggered by people's fear. So it's kind of like if you're not scared of him, he won't have as much of an effect on you. But if he can elicit fear out of you, he can use that fear to then set you on fire.
Yeah. I was glad that Elsa followed Jack's recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Treat him like a friend.
Yeah.
And so she did.
Call him by his name, treat him like a friend, then like you're showing you're not scared of him, then he won't hurt you. Like,
yeah.
You just have to, like, that's, so they kind of put that bit of his character from the comics into that, which I like.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that ability to burn, of course, is either chemical or mystical. Depends on where in the comics you're looking at and what you're talking about. Yeah, but it's really cool to see Man-Thing. Like, I got really excited when, like, that reveal happened the first time I watched this, like, the night it dropped. Where, the arm comes out and I was like, oh, what is the monster? What do they have? Because I didn't look into this, before it came out. And so then when, Jack kind of, the branches part ways and I saw the face, I was like, oh my God, it's Man-Thing. I was like, that's amazing. That's going to be cool.
One of my notes was, Jack has a history of saving Ted. I mean, why wouldn't you want to save him? Mm-hmm.
He's a big old murdery sweetheart.
He is. He's like a teddy bear. You see him in the light and you see all the plant stuff. It's just, yeah. No, he's definitely savable.
Yeah.
Gotta save him.
Even though when he does want to kill somebody, it's real brutal.
Yeah.
Not the best way to go.
No, but he didn't take out anyone who didn't deserve it.
Exactly. Yeah, because like, even, in the comics, it's kind of known as like, yeah, he's got this very horrifying ability, but really the only people who ever get burned to death by Man-Thing are evil villains who definitely deserved it. He's pretty good about not getting innocent people caught up in his power there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to see if I have any other notes about anybody. And I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've gone through all of my notes as well. Well, no, because I already said it, but just to reiterate it, because it's super cool as a huge MCU and Marvel fanboy that I am. We have, again, I said it at the top of this, we've officially introduced the monster universe into the MCU.
I love it. I'm so excited. It just adds something special to what's already an amazing multiverse of superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see where this takes us. I think it can be a lot of fun. I think it opens a lot of possibilities.
Like, how far do we go? I mean, because, like, Ghost Rider is definitely part of this kind of realm of stories, so Johnny Blaze could be making an entrance pretty soon, hopefully. Say Morbius is a big part of it, but I think Sony has the rights to him only right now, so that's not happening. And we're not getting Jared Leto over here in the MCU, please, God.
I don't mind Jared Leto, but I haven't heard great things about that Sony-made Morbius movie.
It's Morbin time, baby.
It's a problem.
I still haven't seen it. I haven't either. I don't want to put myself through it yet.
I know. It's kind of like Halloween Ends. You gotta have a purpose, right? And I can't find a purpose.
But maybe we get, like, the Living Mummy and, like, a little spin-off thing or something. Maybe he'll show up somewhere. You seem to really love the Invisible Man.
I do love the Invisible Man.
Maybe we get the Living Mummy, which is different than Invisible Man, but, like...
Yeah, but still cool. Still cool.
Mummies and stuff are cool. There's a lot of, like, interesting little, like, offshoot characters that we could get. Lots of, Satanus and all of these different things. Who knows? But
the door is open, or is it Pandora's box that we've opened? I'm not sure, but I'm in for whatever they bring to us, and hopefully something we can cover.
Yeah, but we know Blade is coming for sure.
Yes.
But I hope that this is starting possibilities for Ghost Rider. I'd love to see Ghost Rider. And you know what the fan-casted Ghost Rider is, right?
No, I don't. I just know
the way that John Krasinski was super fan-cast as Mr. Fantastic, and then it happened? So I'm hoping the same thing happens, because the big fan casting around Johnny Blaze right now is Mr. Norman Reedus. So...
Oh my God! Wow. Well, he is great on a motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't need any training. He could probably do a lot of his own stunts.
Uh-huh.
No, I had not heard that.
It'd be cool. I fully back it. I'd love to see Norman Reedus as Ghost Rider in the MCU. I think it would be cool.
And he's going to have some time freed up.
Yeah.
He's
got to pop over to France for a little bit, but then...
Yeah, but I feel like he's got time to do a few things.
Yeah.
Stuff and things. Yeah, for sure.
Make it happen. Make it happen, Kevin. Come on, Kevin Feige. Do it. Do it. Do it. You know you want to, Kevin. You know you do.
We could cover that, maybe. We could cover Ghost Rider.
That would be
we
cool.
should start covering the Blade movies so that we're ready.
Mm.
So it's not like...
Norman Reedus is in Blade 2, isn't he? So,
oh my God, yes he is. He is. In all his glory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Blade is... I liked it. I liked that series. Most of it. All of it. I know people bitch about Blade 3, but I actually didn't think it was that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we can, we should definitely cover it. We don't want it to be like Jurassic World when we're right down to the wire and trying to cover everything before Dominion comes
Well, we've
out.
got still like another 2 years before Blade,
We do.
I think, so
we'll space them out.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Tony...
Because it just got pushed back again, because I think they're trying to recast and figure it. They're still...
Yeah.
I was going to say it was supposed to be Mahershala Ali, but I'm not even sure if that's happening anymore.
Yeah.
Now, so.
Oh, and I think he would do a great job.
Yeah.
But he might be busy with Oscar-winning type roles.
Mm-hmm.
So he might just be too busy for it. And you know what? Our good friend Tony, who writes into the podcast all the time, she loves vampires. I wonder what she would think of Blade. Like, we'll cover it this season, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's notes.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't have anything else except for behind the scenes items. So if you're ready for that, I can deliver it.
All right.
Okay. So as far back as 2001, there were plans to create a feature film around the character Werewolf by Night. Lots of things happened. I could take half an hour and explain them all to you, or you could check out Wikipedia. There's a whole list of things that happened. As a composer, Michael Giacchino has received many awards, including an Oscar for his work on Up, an Emmy for his work on Lost, and 3 Grammys for his work on Ratatouille and Up. Giacchino had previously written the scores for Doctor Strange and produced the scores for Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. As Pake said, he directed 1 short and 1 animated series episode. That's it, before he directed this. I'd like to see more of what he would do because I like this noir, retro, vintage feel of this in particular. Yeah. So they're kind of keeping it in the Marvel family because Werewolf by Night was written by Heather Quinn and Peter Cameron. Quinn previously wrote for the Disney Plus series Hawkeye. Cameron wrote for WandaVision and Moon Knight. And Maya Shimaguchi was the production designer for this, and she worked on Hawkeye and the movie Thor. So it was Kevin Feige's decision to include Man-Thing in this movie. Thank you so much.
Yes, which, again, if Kevin made sure that Man-Thing was in here, then that has to speak to Man-Thing is definitely making his return in the MCU, because why else would the god of the MCU, the man himself in charge of everything, be like, we have to have him in? He's got plans for him. He's got them. So.
Of course. Of course. So Giacchino said the special was inspired by The Twilight Zone, as well as horror films from the 30s and 40s, including King Kong and the Wolfman. Totally get that. Mm-hmm. In the comic books, as Pake mentioned, Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing were members of the original Legion of Monsters, along with Morbius and Ghost Rider. So neither Bernal or Donnelly had to audition. Giacchino directly reached out to both of them. Bernal on his own, and then he chose Donnelly because he was a fan of her previous work. Werewolf by Night employed many practical effects, such as Russell's transformation into a werewolf. Visual effects supervisor Joe Farrell assisted with this. It took him months to design and figure out how to execute it for the screen. The transformation is seen mainly from Elsa's perspective, which was done because Giacchino felt it would be scary if the audience was not fully shown the transformation. I mean, we've seen so many in so many movies. I think this was just a different take, and I'm in. The only CGI elements were the cage bars, as the practical ones had to be removed when shooting in order to get that proper shadow projection from the projector. Another practical technique they used was filming various parts backwards to then be reversed during the editing process, such as when Verussa was grabbed by the werewolf. At around 16 and 31 minute marks, the cigarette burn effect appears in the top right corner of the screen. Mm-hmm. This used to appear in old films, indicating the change between reels on film projectors.
Just nice little touches.
I know. Love it. This is Marvel Studios' first Halloween special. Despite the movie's look and feel of vintage film cinematography, it was shot on digital with a black and white filter applied. Among the many creative reasons behind the use of that filter, the main purpose was to obscure the blood and gore in order to avoid a TVMA rating. When the movie's special content rating came out, director and composer Giacchino expressed confusion for it being TV-14, as he thought it was going to be TVMA.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, so the black and white was used to cover up a lot of the gore that was there, but then, it's like you say, it's not red blood. It's right. Not as... But I'm glad that it went that way, because as we talked about, it just adds to the effect of what this is an homage to. And yes. All of the, I feel like I probably still would have loved watching it in color, but it works in black and white. I think it adds an extra layer of specialness to it.
It really does. It does. It's like a love letter to those movies.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first on-screen appearance of Ted Sallis, Man-Thing, in the MCU. He was mentioned in dialogue by Maria Hill in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., nothing personal, and a sculpture of his face was carved into Grandmaster's palace as seen in Thor Ragnarok. And finally, we've already talked about this, Somewhere Over the Rainbow plays as the movie shifts from black and white to color. The same effect was used in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And that, Pake, is what I have for behind the scenes.
Nice. Man. We done did it already?
We did.
We done did it.
We did. We have completed it. Check the box.
Quick and easy episode, but a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear what people think about this one.
Yeah. It's a great foray into Marvel. Well, great.
Yeah.
Something fun. A little return. So it's not really the return of the season because the season started when we did it.
It did.
But yeah. I returned to the season.
Yeah. After a little break. We were a little busy during the month of November, so.
Yeah. But I'm excited. So hopefully people had a lot to say, and we'll find out.
Well, now there's the feedback phone.
Go grab it. All right, we do have a little bit of feedback, but nothing for Werewolf by Night.
I know, I'm really surprised about that.
It's Marvel.
Yeah.
Get on it. No, I'm just kidding.
Come
but
on.
I'm also not kidding. But I'm a little kidding, but not at all. But just a tiny bit. No.
We did, however, get something from Tony about Halloween Ends. She sent this right after we went on our little break, but I wanted to read it because I thought it was really fun. She said, I just listened to your Halloween coverage and I laughed so hard. I agree, it was so bad. My thought process to leaving feedback was, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. See you next season. #Halloween Ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, we're part way through season 5 because we started back in October. We did It-tober.
Yeah.
And then we followed it up with Halloween Ends. And then we took a little break.
Yeah.
And now we're back to continue season 5.
Yeah, so same season as Halloween, just, a little split between. We went right into this season and then took a break. We did things weird and different because that's how we roll.
That's who we are. We do what we want. And we love it.
All right. And then we do have one message that was sent to you privately
It was.
in a lot of trust went into him sending it to you personally. And so we're going to expose it to everybody right now. Now,
of course we are.
So hopefully you won't mind. But no, it's a great message. I just love to, give a little shout out to listeners and friends out there. So,
yes.
Our buddy Nathan sent you a little message saying that he says, I checked out your Hush episode and really enjoyed it. So I've subscribed and I'm looking forward to listening to other episodes.
Yay!
So we just wanted to give a little shout out. Thanks for listening, Nathan. Hope you are enjoying more episodes that you find. Love to have you on board, part of the Run for Your Lives listeners. And then also a little selfishly, I can shout out, we did cover Hush. And if you haven't listened to that, go check that out. It was really fun.
Yes, it was a good one. It was near the end of season 4 that we covered it. And again, Mike Flanagan, it was the first time we had really dug into something by him. But it's not the last time because, maybe in the near future, we're going to be discussing another one of his films.
Yeah. Got a few to get through over time.
Yes. So if you'd like to submit feedback, like Tony, or send me a message like Nathan did, you can do so, not privately, if you go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/runforyourlivespodcast. You can email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at RFYL Podcast or Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast. And if you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, pretty much all the other podcast players, including YouTube. Go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need and give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that's the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do, always. And speaking of sharing the love. Of course, going to give some shout outs to things going on in the podcast universe around us. My other podcast, Strange Indeed, we are still rocking with Mike Flanagan's The Midnight Club over on Netflix. We, let's see, we released episode 8 this week, so we're getting getting close to the end, and God, that show, Mike Flanagan, just Flanaгаning all over the place, all over me, just making me cry, all the tears that I have. Man, episode 8 was rough, but it was great. I was emotionally exhausted after covering that one that night. My God.
Yeah, it's a lot because he leads you down this road and you think he's not going to rip your heart out. And then all of a sudden, here it is. Boom. And you have to recover from it. Oof. You need a podcast to recover from watching the episode.
Right. Or to cry along with, maybe. I don't know. Yes. Come shed tears with me and Rima on Midnight Club episode 8 this week. Oh, God. But it's been a blast. I've been loving covering it. Just love Flanagan. And I can't wait to cover Fall of the House of Usher next year when that comes out.
It's going to be great. Edgar Allan Poe. I can't wait to see what he does with that work of art.
Yes,
I just feel like it's going to be great.
Yeah, and then other great podcasts you can check out, of course, over on Podcastica. They're doing all kinds of great stuff. They got the Dead to Us podcast where Penny, Jason, and Jade are covering Dead to Me. Season 3 on Netflix is running right now. I think they're doing 2 episodes at a time, 2 episodes a week. And then Jonathan and James covering Andor. The season finale was this week, so broke that down. So Star Wars nerds, definitely go check that out. Been great coverage. Those two super Star Wars fans, sound effects, goofiness, fun, nerdiness. It's amazing. So go check that out for sure. And then, of course, the Walking Dead cast over on Podcastica. This week is the series finale. Final episode of The Walking Dead ever. If you don't count all the spin-off shows and all the other stuff going on. But The Walking Dead proper. They finally just broke that down. They did a live podcast from San Francisco, and now this is them really taking it in, multiple watches, breaking it all down. It's the big one. So definitely go check that out. As a Walking Dead fan, to hear Jason and Lucy do all of that. And then over on the Watched It in the 80s podcast, Damien and his friend Andy are covering Rain Man. There's a movie that I haven't thought about in a while, but I'm like, oh my God, that is such a good one.
It is. It's not one I revisit. I think I've seen it once, but it's really good.
Yes. So check out their coverage of that over there. Watched It in the 80s podcast. TV podcast industries, huge Marvel fans like we are, obviously, because we took the time to cover this today that we just did. And so if you want to go check out their coverage of the second Marvel special presentation, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, the holiday special over on Disney Plus, they covered that. That is out, which was incredible. I absolutely loved it. So much fun.
I know I have to watch it. I'm just behind. I'll catch up.
Mm-hmm. And then finally over on Wilhelm, with the spotlight on Wilhelm, Ben's got a couple of interviews that you can go check out, of course. He's got actor and comedian Josh Robert Thompson, and then he's got an interview with actor Mitchell Whitfield. So go check those out. Ben's always just great at interviews, great interviewer, great rapport with anybody he brings on.
Oh,
so it's
definitely.
Always a good time.
Every time.
Yeah,
His interviews are always fun.
I still nerd out and love to go back and listen to excerpts from when he did the Red Dead interviews. Man, those are so good.
My favorite video game character ever, Arthur Morgan.
Those are so good.
And Ben did something really cool. He got the actor who voices Arthur to record an audio message for me. It was
you got a Roger Clark
amazing.
Special.
I did.
But yeah, so go check all those out. So many good podcasts going on that you can get so much goodness for all kinds of TV shows and movies and fun stuff going on. But of course, you can always come back here next week to Run for Your Lives. Daphne, what's going on next week right here?
Well, When a venomous spider kills a nature photographer and then hitches a ride back to California in his casket, it's up to a former city doctor who recently relocated to the country, an entomologist, and an exterminator to tackle the issue before it takes over the town. We are talking about the 1990 Frank Marshall film, Arachnophobia.
Ooh, that's right.
It's been a long time coming. We have talked about this. We've been kicking it around and decided that season 5 was the perfect time to come back with it.
Yeah, so we do. We've got it for you, Arachnophobia, next week. So check it out. Watch it, or if you remember it, give us some feedback. You got a week?
Yeah, we'd love to know what you think about it. We definitely want to hear from you guys. We've missed you.
Yeah.
It's been a month of, no podcasts. And, we took a break. And I'm really glad to be back, Pake, and I know you are as well.
Oh, yeah. It's good. We got some fun stuff coming down the pipeline for this season, for sure. Stuff we've got ready for you. It'll be good.
Yes.
I'm excited.
It's going to be great. Well, with that, we've reached the end of our podcast. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pate.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.